Welcome to Pink Kink,
where we are ready to guide you through the wild and wonderful world of kink.
I'm Princess Rara.
And I'm Dara, the Electro Khaleesi.
Whether you are a baby kinkster, a seasoned pro, or just here for the entertainment, Pink Kink will help you level up your kink knowledge.
Join us as we share our own wild, sometimes awkward, but always entertaining experiences and spill the tea from our combined 30 plus years in the private and professional kink worlds.
So grab your favorite flogger or wand.
Thank you.
And buckle up. You'll learn, you'll laugh, and who knows, you might just spit out your coffee.
Let's get this kinky party started.
Want more Pink Kink in your life? Join our Patreon and get ready for a whole lot of kinky fun and exclusive perks.
As a patron, you'll unlock access to our private Discord server where you can connect with fellow kinksters and chat directly with us. You'll also score adorable Pink Kink stickers and enjoy a monthly behind-the-scenes podcast packed with juicy tidbits we don't share anywhere else. Plus, get sweet discounts at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique, and on our online classes at Pink Kink Institute.
But wait, there's more.
More?
Our impactful and electrifying Pink Kinksters get extras, such as bonus content and free digital downloads. Oh, and let's not forget, the Pink Standard of patrons will be recognized as producers on both the podcast and on our website, because we couldn't do this without you.
Pink Kink runs on the love and support of our amazing patrons, so join the party today. Visit us at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast or click on the link on pinkkinkpodcast.com.
Today's episode is produced by our electrifying Pink Kinksters. Thank you, Jay, Witcherman, Brianna Lynn, Daddy J, Fabe, William P., Claire, Lady Blooding, Naughty and Nice, Butte Pain, Manda Panda, Kat, Stefan, Shadow Phoenix, Christopher, Brian, May Cry Devil, Ruby Riot, Enchanted Sparrow, The Wombat, Impact Hazard, Twitch, The Midnight Girl, Sinful, J21, Daisy If You Do, AK Harley Chick, Violet Rain, Serenity, Belle, Eric, Lady Affliction, Pumpkin Pie, Miss Tourmaline,
S'more, Hacksaw, Wee Mad Beastie, To Be Better For Me, 3 a.m. Thoughts, Crash Override, Iro, Kinky Bear, Sviper No Sviping, Barbie, Navigator Bard, Frost, Coffee and Chaos, Mr. Pillsbury, Peaches, Mighty Owl, Princess Sassy Pants, Lady and Lex, Chaos Monster, Jessa Lady, DJ Harlow, Ophelia, Drew, Daddy's Pumpkin, Birchbeard, Lady to Kitten, Mongoose, Sadia Lemon, Daddy Dom Gav, Dismal, and Noir.
So I was so inspired by you, Dara.
What? I am not TikTok.
I know. That's why I'm trying to say that I was inspired by you versus inspired by TikTok.
Why?
Well, you know how
weird.
How one of your resolutions and one of your new things for 2025 is your little series?
Yes.
Well, that inspired me to come up with my own series for 2025.
Okay.
Episodes that I want to do around a particular theme.
Okay.
So what I have come up with is that often, and this kind of also then is an offshoot of when I did solo submission and somebody said, well, what about dominant solo? And I thought, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with a topic, which will then turn into 2 episodes. One episode will be about that topic from the submissive standpoint, and one episode will be the topic from the dominant standpoint.
Okay.
And that way we cover everybody. If you're submissive or dominant or switch, you're covered. And somebody who might want to know about what the other side of the slash is thinking and feeling.
Okay, sounds good.
So that's kind of my theme of some episodes that I will do throughout the year. So I'm going to start off with talking about the basics, specifically the archetypes.
Okay, I like archetypes.
I do like archetypes because you know me, I like anything that's organized and fits neatly into rows and columns.
Yes, we know.
So this episode is specifically going to be submissive archetypes.
Okay.
And I want to help people understand, explore these archetypes as a tool for self-discovery about themselves and what they like and what they don't like, and hopefully help them in their own personal growth and their journey.
Sounds good.
So basically, let's start with the basics. What the hell is an archetype? We've probably heard the word, but do you really know what it means?
I mean, I do because I studied that stuff.
Okay, but not everybody does. does.
Not everybody is me. Oh no.
Look, there are words that I don't know how to pronounce. Have you ever seen those games where I see them in books, so I know how to spell them?
Well,
but
yeah.
I've never heard them out loud, and I don't know how to.
Yeah, no, everybody has those.
Right?
Paradigm.
Yeah. I speak of TikTok, I do come across occasionally the ones where, like, do you know how to pronounce this word? And I'm pretty impressed with how well I do.
Well, now, yes, but paradigm was literally, I was like 20 years old and I said it out loud.
And somebody just laughed.
Oh,
laughed
they laughed
at
your
you.
ass off. I mean, that's fucking funny.
Well, it is paradigm.
But you can see where people pick up, like, if you're an avid reader, but also an introvert, that happens a lot.
Does it?
Yes.
Well, there's just also words that I don't necessarily use in my day-to-day language.
Who the fuck uses paradigm in their day-to-day language?
I don't. That's why that's an excellent one.
I almost said paradigm again because I've said
Okay.
it 3 times already today.
Well, that's like archetype. It's like, is it archetype? Is it archetype? Is it
Oh, no, but oh my God.
archetype?
I've heard archetype and I'm like, twitch.
See, I look at that and I think of Archie, the comic strip. So it's like archetype. But I don't know why there's an H there because arc is A-R-C. So it should just be A-R-C, not A-R-C-H. Once you put the 8 there, it's arch. So I just think the word's spelled wrong. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Anyway, it is basically a very typical example of a certain person or thing. So that book is a perfect archetype of that genre. And kind of think of it as a label. But one of the main differences between archetypes and labels is labels are a lot more rigid.
Mm-hmm.
Archetypes are not. They're flexible frameworks.
Okay, I kind of like that then because you know how I have that thing about really, really hating labels?
Yes.
Let's go with archetypes.
There you go. And archetypes are non-exclusive, meaning you can fit into more than one archetype. You could change over time what that archetype is and how you're feeling. I mean, like I was talking to somebody yesterday about, they're like, the more they got to know me, the more they don't understand how I ever attempted to be a submissive.
Listen, the thing is though, you're a lot different than you were back then.
Well, obviously, yeah.
So now looking at it, fuck no, you could not be a submissive. But back then, you didn't have as forceful of a personality. Your personality was coming through.
Yeah. Well, the more confident I get, the more forceful I get.
Yeah.
So I've grown in my confidence in this lifestyle, in my community, in my role as an educator. So yeah, the more confident I get. I've always been one of those people, like, if I'm not 100% sure I'm right, I'm going to shut up.
No,
because I'm a Virgo and we don't like to be wrong. Ever. So if I'm arguing with you about something, I feel pretty confident that I'm right. Doesn't mean I am. Just means I feel pretty confident that I am.
Yes.
But, archetypes are supposed to be flexible frameworks, not rigid categories. And they help you kind of understand behavior and maybe preferences in how you submit. And one of the reasons that I think, and then I'm trying to get across in this episode, why it's important to even explore these archetypes, right? So you hear, and Dara phrased it beautifully about how we hate labels.
We've always hated labels. I think we have an entire episode on how much
She
we
hates
hate labels
more than I do.
I loathe labels.
I, as a Virgo, like labels because I like things to fit into a nice, neat box. What my problem is people use labels as stereotypes.
Yeah, well, I don't like it because once you label yourself something, it's almost like you can't be anything else. Or if you say something like, I'm a sadist, people think it's only one thing. They don't understand all the different nuances that you can have with it. And
they also think, like, if you're that label all the time.
And only that label.
Like, I had a very great conversation with somebody the other day, somebody else who also teaches a bratting class. And I talk about how I teach bratting as a kink and needs to be treated as a kink. And she said she teaches bratting that it's an identity.
Okay, yeah, there's a huge difference.
Well, and for
in
me,
the two ideologies.
Well, for me, I said I think it's both. But the reason I teach it as a kink versus as an identity is because while I am absolutely identify as a brat in my identity, that doesn't mean I brat 100% of the time to 100% of the people.
Right. It's certain people.
Because there's a time and a place for everything.
No,
Right?
I'm behind that.
So the reason, though, I think it's important to understand what your archetype is first of all, it enhances the self-awareness of who and what you are. And I am a huge proponent of understanding yourself. I think the more you understand yourself, the better you will be as a human being, as a kinkster, as in whatever archetype you fall into. It will help you identify your needs and your desires and help you articulate that when you are talking to potential partners. It helps bring clarity to your motivations for submission. And I teach the same thing in my bratting class, understanding your motivation for bratting. I think if you can understand why you're submitting, that helps too. And I think it will help you build confidence in setting and communicating your boundaries. And then all of that is going to improve your relationships because you're going to be able to strengthen your communication with your partners by clearly expressing what fulfills you about submission. It will deepen the intimacy and trust through mutual understanding. It will help align your expectations to have a better, stronger, healthier dynamic. And it will even provide you with tools for resolving conflicts. It will also help you foster your growth because it will empower you to embrace submission as a strength. There's nothing I hate more than people who think of dominance as the strong ones and submissives as the weak ones.
Fuck no.
I don't think any one role is stronger or weaker than another role.
Well, it's the same thing as saying women are the weaker sex.
Yeah.
Like, if you've heard that line, I fucking hate it. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Do you know the emotional damage or the physical damage? Did you know that it was actually scientifically proven that biologically female bodies can withstand starvation better than biologically male bodies?
That makes sense. I think it's also been scientifically proven that female minds are better at multitasking.
They also can't stop thinking. Apparently, male brains can stop thinking and just think nothing.
I've seen it in action.
Well, it's weird. It's completely foreign to me. I am always thinking. But yeah, I find that fascinating.
But it'll help you encourage your adaptability as your preferences evolve. It'll help you with confidence to explore new experiences and skills. It'll even increase your personal fulfillment by aligning your actions with what you are naturally inclined to do. So, in short, basically, understanding it's going to create a richer, more satisfying, dynamic role for you and personal growth opportunities.
Sounds good.
Right? So now let's talk about some of the archetypes you see when it comes to submissive. And this was funny because I will confess I Googled this to see what's out there.
Well, because this part's weird to me because I would normally I would just think submissive is the archetype.
Yeah.
Like that's it. But I like the breakdown.
Well, what's interesting is there were some examples of archetypes, submissive archetypes that I checked off the list. I said, I don't believe them. I think they're wrong.
You don't think that those are submissive archetypes?
Yes.
Okay. I want to know what those are.
Okay. So the first one is service-oriented submissive.
Okay.
And here I think is what's really important because for a lot of people, when they think of submissive, they think of service-oriented.
Like only? Yeah.
Yeah. That
like
seems
just
to
service
be,
sub. Yeah.
That service sub, they seem to think that's
it.
That's
yeah.
it. And I disagree. When I was cosplaying a submissive, I was never a service-oriented submissive. I did not get pleasure out of serving. And then the other problem too is when people think of service-oriented, they immediately think of cooking, cleaning, laundry.
And sex.
Right? Now, if you want to go back, and I'm sorry, I do not know it off the top of my head. We did do an actual episode on submission, where we talk about actually, if you really truly are service submissive, you are doing the service that your dom needs.
And there's a lot of anticipation in it. And we know a 24/7 service sub, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what their dynamic is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Another one that came up in the list was brat. Now, I will agree. I do believe brat is an archetype of submissive.
It's also an archetype of...
My problem is the fact that people assume brat equals submissive. And that's where I disagree with. But I do absolutely believe that it is an archetype. Little, same thing. I don't think little equals submissive, but I do believe it is an archetype of submission.
And I will go ahead and give like a future episode reference. That's my next episode that I'm working on is little as dominant.
Oh, yeah.
So if Rara can do brat as dominant, I can do little as dominant.
Well, as somebody whose middle is probably the most dominant side of me. As I always joke with people, right? I'm a middle. I identify as a 15, 16-year-old teenager. You find me a fucking 15, 16-year-old teenager that doesn't think they're in charge.
Nope.
Right?
Nope.
So
I'm not even going to try. Like, nope.
So that's why I always laugh. I'm like, that's my and that's also my sadistic side. The more sadistic I get, the more my middle comes out.
That's funny.
Another archetype is slave.
I don't know how that one could spin to dominant at all.
It doesn't.
We were talking about how all the other ones could be spinned as dominant, but I don't think that one can.
There's pet.
Yes.
Which again, I don't think pet equals submissive, but I do believe pet is an archetype.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is one I added specifically, pleasure sub, because I think if we're gonna embrace the pleasure dom,
I'm not going to embrace
which
the
I don't
pleasure
like.
dom.
Listen, I've realized this is a losing battle. I do not like the term. I've expressed it enough. If this is your first time listening to us, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to go into a whole spiel again about why I don't like it. But if we're going to accept that I've lost this battle, then if we can have a pleasure dom, we can have a pleasure sub.
No. No, I hate it. I hate the word.
But one of the ones that I immediately crossed off the list and I said, hell no, was rope.
Rope is...
A rope bunny was rope bunny.
No.
Thank you.
No.
The same way I've argued that riggers are not an archetype of dominance. Now, does this mean that you can't have a submissive who is also a rope bunny? A fucking course not.
Well, I mean, it's the same category as brat and little and pet. You can have those things, but they could be the dominant side of you.
The reason I didn't really want to include that as an archetype is one of my problems specifically with rope is an absolute kink. So why do we have that particular kink where we have names for it? There's no specific kink names for somebody who enjoys receiving electro.
Well, I call them electro sluts.
Right, but that's it. There's no specific term for somebody who enjoys the sharps.
Yeah. There is for the bottom for masochism. Masochist and
but
sadist.
masochism falls, but you can get your masochism through rope, through electro, through impact, through sharps.
Yeah.
Right? You can get it through emotional and psychological masochism. It's
rope bunny and rigger are very specific to that kink.
Yeah.
Huh.
So that's the only reason I didn't like to include that. I kind of went, I don't care. You're wrong. Sorry, Google, you're just wrong.
To all those articles that we go through.
Some of the common misconceptions that really occur when it comes to archetypes is that archetype does not equal stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Archetype is a universal pattern or symbol that connects people across time and cultures, while stereotype is just an oversimplified idea about a group or a person.
Anyone who's a writer knows about archetypes. Anyone who studied psychology knows about archetypes.
Right? But with a stereotype, the stereotype is brat equals submissive.
Right.
Little equals submissive.
We don't like stereotypes
here.
Okay?
That's the difference. While we are saying absolutely you can be a brat submissive or little submissive. It's an archetype, not a stereotype. And an archetype, I'm going to say this really clearly and slowly. Archetype does not define your worth as a submissive, nor does an archetype define your level of submissive.
You're going to have to go more into that.
So
I don't understand what you mean by level.
As far as your hierarchy.
Ah, got you.
So, right. So one of these archetypes is not better than the others. If you're just because you're a slave does not mean you are better than somebody who's just a submissive.
You're not more submissive.
You're
right?
not more submissive. You're not a better submissive. You're not like the submissive with a capital T.
Like a service sub is a better submissive than a brat.
Yeah.
Would be the example that I could think of. Okay. Yeah. No, that one bugs the shit out of me. Okay. Got you. Got you. I'm on it.
All right. So let's dive deep into these different submissive archetypes. And let's go in order because, Virgo.
You have to.
You have to. So let's start off with what exactly is a service-oriented submissive? Well, it's somebody who gains fulfillment from performing acts of service or caregiving for their dominant.
Makes sense.
Okay. And notice we just say acts of service or caregiving. We're not saying cooking, cleaning.
Well, okay. So I like that you added the caregiving in there because Daddy J is definitely a service. Okay. If I'm going with my little is my bossy dominant side, then Daddy J would be my service caregiver.
Yeah. Listen, I had a whole conversation with somebody yesterday about the fact that I want a daddy, but I don't want a daddy dom.
You want a daddy sub?
Yeah.
I like it.
Which would basically be a caregiving.
Do I have a daddy sub?
Sort of.
I mean, let's face it, I'm fucking in charge.
Well, yeah.
I didn't mean to be. Okay, anyway, that's next episode.
Yeah. But that's for me what I'm looking for is technically a daddy sub.
I like that. That's an awesome term, though. Hold on. I'm going to put that in the chat and see what happens.
It's hard to find.
Yes, because nobody thinks that exists. But that's what I think. If I find a service-oriented submissive, that they would take care of me. I just don't want the rules and to be told what to do. I don't do very well. I don't do very well with being told what to do. I'm not as bad as you as far as tell me what to do and I'll do the opposite. Well, yeah.
Because if you tell me what to do and it makes sense, I'll do it. But not because you told me to do it, but because it made sense to.
And I'm going to go all oppositional defiance. And just simply because you told me to do it, I'm going to say, oh, fuck no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. I'll do it if it makes sense. But it's not because you told me to. It's because I happen to agree that makes sense.
God, that makes Daddy J insane when I do that too.
As the mother of a child with ODD, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
I know. Sorry on behalf of all of us children that have that.
So what motivates somebody
I'm a 40-year-old child. Okay, got it.
I didn't say it.
No.
I didn't say it.
I am a little.
Yeah.
It's only my little side that does that though. Like at work, I'm fine.
You're little a lot when you're not at work.
And let's face it, sometimes I'm little at work. Anyway.
So what motivates somebody to do this? Well, part of it is a deep-seated desire to feel useful and appreciated. They get satisfaction from contributing to the well-being or comfort of another. And here we go. This is my favorite. A love for structure and clear expectations.
Well, that's you all over.
I love structure and clear expectations. I just don't want the expectations to be of me.
I understand that.
Which is why I'm not a submissive. Some of the challenges of this archetype, though, risk of burnout, both from overcommitting to things to do and just this expectation of having to do all this, right? Like if I'm the one who's taking care of you and you need a lot of taking care of, obviously there's that risk of burnout.
I'm going to get bored. If I think that's my biggest reason why I don't do polyamory. I get bored very easily.
So I would think that'd be perfect for polyamory. You just keep bringing in new partners every time you get bored. In with the new, out with the old.
You would think, but I don't have the time commitment to do that.
That's true. Another challenge is struggling to balance your personal needs with your duties as a service submissive.
Duties.
I said duty.
Duty.
But not just not only the duties itself, but the struggle between, let's say you're tired and you don't have the energy to do something to take care of the other person. You are struggling with this idea that I'm exhausted. I need to, let's say, take a nap, but I also need that my partner needs this done to take care of them. And how do you balance all that?
It's hard.
It's very hard.
Especially if you have the mental health spoon theory thing. If you have a lack of spoons that day, holy shit, you don't have enough spoons to take care of yourself, let alone another person.
I say, forget spoons. That's when the forks and knives start to come out.
Yeah. Rara doesn't have spoons. She's got fucks.
No, I don't even have any fucks to give.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. That's when I bring out the forks and knives. And then another challenge, of course, is feeling unappreciated or taken for granted.
Yeah, that's rough.
Like, I do love to take care of people. Somebody said the type of dominant they identified as, and I told them I was stealing this because I love this. Because normally, right, I call myself a caregiver dominant. But I didn't feel that fit me right, because then the problem became is people thought as a caregiver dominant, I wanted a little.
Right.
And I don't. What I am is a mama bear dominant.
Hold on. I was just having this conversation literally about you with somebody last night. I'm going to try and find it now because it was almost exactly the same thing. Was it last night? It probably wasn't. But I remember saying that would be rah-rah.
Yeah. My new identifying is as a mama bear dominant.
That's awesome.
Right? And I do get pleasure out of being a mama bear, taking care of other people. But feeling unappreciated or taken for granted is the worst.
I called you a nurture dom.
Yeah.
Because somebody was actually saying, is that a thing? Like nurture dom, is that a thing? And I said, oh yeah, no, rah-rah is a nurture dom.
Yeah.
100%. But I didn't say caregiver.
Right.
So,
well, that's what I'm saying, because I've decided not to say caregiver because I don't want people assuming I want a little.
right.
So how does a service-oriented submissive thrive?
I was going to say, because you already kind of have one. Me.
Oh, yeah. I do.
The look on your face, you're like, what the fuck? Who are you talking about?
Yeah. No, once you said it, it made perfect sense. So how does a service-oriented submissive thrive? Well, you establish clear boundaries and limits so that you can prevent that burnout. Communicate openly about needing recognition and needing appreciation so that you don't feel that you're being taken for granted. Outline some type of your boundaries, whatever, to make sure that your needs are being taken care of and not at the expense of taking care of your partners.
Absolutely.
Right? And this is more, and I understand this is, you may be just saying to your dominant, look, I'm worried about being able to balance my personal needs with my service duties. And let the dominant at that point come up with ideas and ways to help you balance it so that you're still being a part of this dynamic and living up to the more traditional submissive side of things versus coming in and saying, this is what I want to do, and maybe feeling like you're not being submissive
Which
enough.
is what Rara did.
Right?
This is what I want. This is what we're going to do. Okay.
Yeah, you don't exactly feel submissive in that moment. But saying to them, listen, I'm worried about this. I'm worried about the struggle of balancing it all.
Right.
Then your partner can very much step up and say, okay, thank you for telling me. That's good. Let's set it up in a certain way so you don't feel like that struggle's happening.
A lot of dominants have that I need to fix it mentality.
Yes.
So that gives them a really, really good source of, giving them something to fix.
Yeah. And again, remember, if you break your toys, you can't play with them. So the dominants, even a dominant who doesn't identify as a caregiver, is still going to want to care for their toys.
Hopefully.
So they can play with it. Let's talk about brat submissives.
Yay, our favorite.
Yeah, well, I do love
second favorite.
I do love a good brat. And I love a brat submissive because then it enables me to let my brat flag fly free.
You
High and proud.
Fly your brat flag free?
Yes.
Wow, that was actually way harder to say than I thought it was going to be.
That's why I struggled. That's why I struggled.
You struggled?
I struggled with that. So basically, a brat submissive, the definition is they playfully challenge authority to elicit attention or to just make their dynamic work or have a spark, to maintain a spark in their dynamic. Try that again?
Yeah.
Okay, so a brat submissive basically playfully challenges authority because they want to either elicit attention or maybe maintain some sort of spark within their dynamic.
Sparky sparks.
Spark. Right? I mean, I want somebody who I can be playful with. I'm not a serious person.
I'll tell you what your spark is. The bratting, I tell you why that works for you, because it sparks your competitive side.
Well, actually, again, a great conversation I had last night. One of the reasons that I brat the most with our friend John is because John tries to get me to submit.
I'm going to just go ahead and say that is never going to happen.
No, but that's why he gets the biggest side of my brat side.
All right, I can see that.
Because I am not submitting.
Nope.
So that's how I fight back against his desire to make me submit.
He's so funny though when you guys do this. Like forever he didn't realize that his brat was coming out. We had to tell him.
Yeah, well, the thing is he also didn't realize how much fun he was going to have bratting. And that's been fun to watch, is him try to get more creative with his bratting and have more fun with it.
Yeah, no, it's been really fun because your dynamic with John is so completely different than his dynamic with Blue.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Because Blue will submit to him. I do not. Now, she's not a submissive, but at least in a scene. Now, outside of a scene, she does not submit by all.
Right.
She's another good Jewish woman. We don't submit by nature. But in a scene, she does.
Right. Which is what he thought he wanted.
Right?
He wants it.
I think it still wants it. I think he's just learned if he's going to play with me, that's just not happening.
Right. And he has fun. He has fun with it.
I don't submit in scenes. I allow you to top me.
Yes.
I allow you to do things to me. I do not submit to you.
Well, this is why we always harp on the whole. There is a huge difference between topping and doming and between bottoming and submitting. There's a difference.
Yeah. That's why my brat comes out the strongest with him.
I think that's awesome.
Right. So what are the motivations? Oh, there's so many. Let me narrow them down. So some of the motivations are you just thrive on these playful power struggles.
Yes.
Right? And being creative with dominance. For some people, and I've had people tell me it reassures them of the dominant's authority.
Well, I can see that.
Right?
Not for me, but I can see
right?
that.
But those who like it, for some people, they've said they brat because they want the dominant to prove.
I can understand that.
So that's what they want. And so that's what doing it. They value the fun and the spontaneity that bratting brings to scenes and relationships.
I feel like that's more you.
That's very much me. I very much am enjoying myself when I'm doing all of this. And so I want to enjoy myself with laughter and fun and silliness. Teasing is a love language for me, right? Like we joke and tease in my family. If you don't joke and tease, then they don't love you, obviously.
Oh, yeah. If you don't have a nickname for somebody, you don't actually love them.
Right? The challenges, though, of which there are multiple.
Yeah.
Risk of being misunderstood as disrespectful. Let's start with that one. Potential difficulty in finding a dominant who not only enjoys bratting, but enjoys your brand of bratting. Because if you've listened to our bratting episode, if you've taken my bratting class, you know that there are a wide spectrum of ways to brat. So it's finding somebody who enjoys your style of bratting. And then obviously the balance of bratting with serious moments in a relationship and knowing when to brat and when not to. Understand the balancing your need to brat with whether your dominant is in a place to receive that bratting at that time.
Yeah, and that can be kind of difficult to read in a person.
Yeah. So how does a bratting submissive thrive? Well, you set some clear rules and boundaries for bratting versus serious interactions. And those rules could be not only when you brat, but how you brat. And it should include safe words so that if you've reached a point where the bratting is too much, somebody can safe word out of it. Somebody told me that when they feel the urge to brat come on, they actually point blank ask for consent at that moment. And they say to their partner, I'm feeling particularly bratty. Is now a good time?
Oh, that's actually pretty cool.
I told them I think that's cool because I love and appreciate the fact that they recognize it in advance. I said, for me, I don't recognize my bratting is often in response to.
Yeah, yours just kind of like comes out.
Yeah, well, because you do something and I'm just going to respond bratty. It's not that I'm even in a bratty mood because, like you probably don't because I don't know how much but for those who watch Marvel, the Hulk's, there's a scene where Captain America says to Hulk, get angry. And Hulk says, that's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry.
It's always just there under the surface.
I'm always bratty. But sometimes I don't turn green. So that's why for me, the safe word works better than saying, hey, I'm in a bratty mood.
Can I brat?
Can I brat now?
I think that's pretty cool, though.
But if you can, and you have that ability, yeah, it really does work.
Well, like you say, you have the right to remain silent, but you do not have the ability.
No. So don't.
You have the right to not brat, but you do not have the ability.
You want to find a partner who understands and enjoys not only the playful nature of bratting, but your specific style. Because if you're somebody who is a make-me brat, make sure you find a partner who enjoys the make-me brat. If your style is sarcasm, make sure you find a partner who not only appreciates sarcasm, but gets it. See, the amount of people who don't get sarcasm.
I get it. I just can't do it. I'm more of a dry sense of humor, but let me tell you, Rara, you and I, our style of bratting at each other, pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we brat like sisters who brat to each other.
Well, we brat like sisters who brat to each other.
Yeah.
Okay, that made sense.
Yeah.
In Rara's head.
You know what I meant.
Of course I do.
Well, hopefully by 200 and whatever episode we're on, people understand me at this point.
I speak fluent Rara.
Thank you. And then you want to use bratting to deepen the trust and intimacy rather than creating conflict. And that's a big one. If your point to bratting is to cause drama, Yeah, you're no.
You're going to cause conflict.
Yeah.
Just saying. I got a cousin like that.
Some people just don't know how to avoid drama.
Like, seriously, every single thing has to be a one-up competition, or they have to make some sort of comment. Like, seriously, the conversation's not about you, but the fuck out. Copernicus wants you to know the world does not revolve around you, asshole. I spent way too much time with family this week.
I see that. Okay. I'm a little scared right now, but okay.
Everybody has relatives they don't like. Leave me alone.
That's why I don't talk to mine.
Okay.
Listen, I can say this because none of my family listens. I am going to a family wedding in a couple months. And my daughter and I have already planned.
How to escape?
No.
Oh.
That we're going to be sitting together and bitching and bad-mouthing everything we see.
Oh, I did some of that too. Trust me, because there are cousins I do like, and we are very, on the same, page here. But no, there's a good solid few.
I don't know the seating arrangement, so I don't know where I'm going to be seated at this.
Obviously, you have to sit with your daughter. Duh.
Not necessarily, because she could be sitting at the cousin's table.
Oh, that's true. Well, you can always move.
In which case, I don't know where the hell I'm sitting. So I'll find out. It'll be fine. It's fine.
You'll just have to move and
I'm
sit
going
at
to
the
sit wherever
cousin's table.
Listen, I'm just hoping it's an open bar. That's all I ask. And I only need 2 drinks and I'll get through the night.
I went to a dry wedding once.
I went to a wedding where the alcohol was a keg.
That's it?
That was it.
That was it?
Yeah.
That's the only alcohol they provided?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's bullshit.
It's a keg.
I mean, it's slightly better than a dry wedding because at least some people.
It was a very redneck wedding.
Ew.
I apologize in advance if I've offended anybody. But yeah. All right, let's go into littles.
Yay!
Yay. So basically, definition, they engage in childlike behaviors as part of their submission. And that's what makes it an archetype of submissive versus just a little. This is your childlike behaviors are part of your submission. So your motivations for doing this. And Dara, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, please. Being as our resident little expert.
I'm not entirely sure that I'm going to be able to be the expert on this because remember, I am not a submissive little.
Okay. The motivations, you crave the emotional security and care from a nurturing figure.
Okay, that yeah.
Right? You find comfort and stress relief in childlike activities or rituals.
Yep.
And you use regression, but not in the sense of
age
regression.
Really hate that word.
So, I just didn't.
Yeah, I know.
I just couldn't come up at the time with a better one, and I forgot that I had that there. So you use the little side of you as a way to explore being vulnerable in a safe manner. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. The challenges, of course, is the biggest one is misunderstandings about age play from outsiders or even partners, as Dara learned.
Oh, yeah. I was called disgusting by a partner for being a little.
Right. But difficulty finding a caregiver who provides consistency and emotional support.
Yep.
One of the things that I will say about littles is littles need more.
Yes.
If you were to compare service-oriented, a submissive, and a little submissive, my theory upon my personal experience is the little needs more attention.
More together time, yes, because I would think a service submissive could probably do stuff on their own and not be as supervised as a little.
Right.
Definitely need more supervision.
Yeah. So, and you need to really, as the dominant, dip into that whole I'm taking care of you because you're little, right? I'm holding your hand. You can't walk across the street without holding my hand.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to cook in the kitchen because you could hurt yourself.
I'm not allowed to use power tools.
Yeah.
I don't think that's because I'm a little, though. I think that's because I'm a klutz.
Yeah. Well, I have a friend who is very much a little and a daddy, and the rules of what she is and isn't allowed to do. She complains. She's like, I found this really cute tool set. Daddy says I can't have it.
What? No, you're allowed to have the cute tool set. You just can't use it.
Well, I don't think Daddy trusts her not to use it if she gets it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm so sorry you can't have your cute tool set.
And then, of course, there's the balancing that little time with the real world of adult responsibilities.
That part sucks.
Because, bills need to get paid, work needs to be done. If you happen to be a parent, you got to watch your own kids.
You can be capable of it. It just fucking sucks.
Yeah. So how do you thrive in this particular archetype? Well, build relationships with partners who enjoy the caregiving role Incorporate rituals that will reinforce that safety and emotional security and help you just let loose in that space, like not being allowed to cross the street without holding hands. I would imagine that just kind of is a trigger to put you into little space.
Oh, yeah. Also to boop in the snootin'.
Yeah, for you, it's a boop in the snoot. We'll do it. And then, of course, participate in community events or spaces that celebrate littles. I wish I could say every community event or space celebrates littles. It doesn't.
Well, no, I mean, we had to create one.
Right? Part of that is because of littles being misunderstood. Part of that is because, unfortunately, as in any section of kink, there are people who don't understand how to behave properly in public.
We used to have that problem with a former littles group, and that was one of the reasons I sort of put it to the side for a little while, because it was embarrassing.
Well, they show up to, it's why we have very specific rules for our littles munch of what you can and cannot do. You cannot show up with a bottle.
Right. It's almost a dress code.
Yeah. So that's important.
Do not show up in a onesie to a fucking public munch. Just don't do it.
No.
I'm sorry. There should be a dress code for your munch too, because some of the outfits that I have seen, I was just like, no. Family restaurant. No.
Yeah, well, some families are a little crazier than others, so they think it's okay. All right. Slave. Slave basically commit deeply to a total power exchange, a TPE dynamic, relinquishing a significant amount of control to a dominant. Now, that doesn't mean they relinquish control of 100% of everything.
Yeah, like, for example, you could be a slave but not have the financial part.
Right, or not have the bathroom or food control.
Right.
But it's just, think of it's like submissive on steroids. You just submit more in this sense. And it doesn't mean that you're better. It just means you're more comfortable relinquishing more control.
That's your dynamic.
Right. So what is the motivation for that? Well, you find satisfaction in surrendering decisions and embracing complete trust. You desire a structured, protocol-driven relationship because that helps you feel purposeful. You know what to do. And you value the symbolic connection of being a slave, which is often marked by contracts or collars or other things. I mean, a lot of the slave relationships you will see will be a lot more protocol driven. Some of the challenges to this, well, your vulnerability can be exploited if your dynamic is unbalanced. Navigating feelings of inadequacy if you're unable to meet these higher standards. I have talked with people who identify as slaves and feel they have to justify why they get to identify as a slave when they don't do X, Y, Z. And then, of course, managing the emotional intensity of total power relationships.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
How can you thrive in this relationship? Have regular check-ins to ensure that the dynamic remains consensual and healthy, making sure that you're developing clear contracts, whether written or just verbal, that outlines the boundaries and the expectations so that you don't feel you're getting nothing out of it or that it's all about your partner and not about you. Foster self-compassion to avoid internalizing perfectionist tendencies. And if you know how to do that, let me know. Because I haven't figured that one out. But give yourself grace and understand that slavery is a spectrum. And it's not just because you don't do something like don't let them control your finances doesn't mean you're not a slave. All right, so pleasure subs. Well, they're seeking physical and sensory exploration as their primary motivation for submission.
Can't you just call it orgasm sub?
I think it should be, but they're not called orgasm dom.
It should be.
Well, exactly. It should be because it seems to be the pleasure seems to be just sexual pleasure.
Right. I don't like it.
Again, we don't, but I got to admit that I've lost this battle. The term is sticking around.
Fine.
The motivation behind it, well, they want to push their limits or discover new sensations. They value intense physical connection with a partner. And they view submission specifically as a way to heighten personal and mutual pleasure. And again, the pleasure being the sex and orgasms.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the challenges is the risk of dependency on the physical stimuli for fulfillment. Things like what happens if you're not reaching orgasm? as a vagina person, this idea that we can have multiple orgasms and squirt.
Some of us cannot.
I can do the multiple. I think I squirted twice in my entire life and they were accidentally and I had to be shaped into a pretzel for it to happen. And that was very uncomfortable. I had to have my feet by my ears.
Yeah.
And the older I get, the harder that is.
Yeah.
Or I can do it, but I can't get back. It's just,
you had to get unstuck.
I had to be unstuck.
At that point, I probably would have gotten stuck. Yeah.
Right? But it's not everybody is able to have multiple orgasms. The balancing your personal pleasure with the dominance needs and desires was another challenge. And then, of course, navigating physical or emotional limits safely.
Like getting stuck.
Like getting stuck with your feet by your ears. I'm sorry. I'm 59. The body just doesn't fold like it used to.
Fuck that. I'm 40 and my body doesn't fold like that.
I don't think your body ever folded that way.
It did.
Did it?
Yeah. I was in gymnastics for a long time. That's part of why I have all the arthritis now.
How can you thrive in this environment? Well,
not getting stuck.
Yeah. That would be number one. Experiment with a variety of kinks and stimuli to avoid becoming stagnant.
I thought you were going to say stuck.
That too. Well, this is the next
stagnant
one.
And stuck.
This is next one. Partner with a dynamic who prioritizes safety.
I'm picturing somebody having to peel legs out. Okay, and then you hear the
yeah.
Need some oil.
Seriously. And reflect on emotional connections as well as the physical enjoyment. So our last one is pet. It embodies animal-like behaviors or personas, creating playful and nurturing dynamics with the dominant who acts as basically the owner of the pet. Your motivation is you create playful interaction and nonverbal communication. You find joy in expressing primal instincts in a safe and controlled environment. And you value rituals and symbols like collars and leashes and toys and dog bowls that help reinforce the dynamic. Some of your challenges, of course, again, is overcoming social stigma or misunderstanding about pet play, defining the boundaries between pet play and primal play. Because, again, pet play does not necessarily equal primal play, but they can combine.
Yes.
And then finding a partner who embraces the unique aspects of pet dynamics and likes what you like. How can you thrive in this? Well, create structured rituals that reinforce the pet dynamic. Seek out events or groups specific to pet play so you can build a community and have others to talk with who enjoy what you enjoy. And then focus on the playful, creative exploration of the pet role.
Did I tell you I found out that my cousin's boyfriend is into pet play?
No, as an owner or as a pet?
As the pet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have expected that knowing him.
Not that cousin's boyfriend.
Oh.
New one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a fascinating Christmas conversation, let me tell you.
Right. Okay. So how do you know which of these archetypes you are? Well, reflect on your reactions during scenes or relationships. Think back to the moments when you felt the most connected or fulfilled in a scene and note how you react to the different styles of dominance or submission. For example, did you enjoy following structured tasks? Did you feel energized or playful when you were teasing or bratting? Were you most at peace when you were cared for like a little or nurtured as a pet? Identify activities that bring you joy, fulfillment, or comfort in submission. So list the actions, rituals, or dynamics that you gravitate toward. Maybe it's serving meals or completing tasks or organizing.
And I'm just going to point something out here. I'm a little, right? I also enjoy some service tasks. I love cooking. That is one of my love languages, is cooking for my husband. However, you couldn't pay me to do his laundry. Actually, you probably could pay me,
I was gonna say,
but it'd be a lot.
You'd have to be paid to do your own laundry. You don't like laundry.
I hate laundry. It's the one thing that sucks all of the energy and mental out of me. It's like it takes 20 spoons and I only got 10.
That's a problem.
It's a huge problem. I fucking hate laundry. But this is why I like the term, the archetype idea instead of the label, because as a label, it boxes me in and I can't be both service and little.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you can be multiple archetypes.
Right. Mm-hmm. So some of the other examples, do you like to participate in nurturing activities like cuddles, bedtime stories, or coloring? You're a little. Evaluate past experiences to uncover patterns in your desires. Reflect on previous relationships, what worked well, what didn't, what dynamics or activities made you feel most connected and fulfilled. And then look for those recurring themes. Do you consistently seek nurturing dynamics? Were you drawn to more structured rules or spontaneous play? And then consider if certain archetypes resonate with those behaviors that you've enjoyed. Practical tools to do this: journaling. Use journaling prompts to clarify motivations. Ooh, I think I might have to create.
I was going to say, this is Rara's favorite thing in the whole world.
Oh, light bulb. Ding, ding, ding,
Is that
ding,
another? Is that another digital download coming on?
At some point, yes, I'll add that to my list. Right. So spend time writing about your thoughts and feelings on submission. Prompts could include: what does submission mean to me? What kind of dynamic makes me feel most alive? How do I feel most connected to my dominant? What types of scenes or activities do I fantasize about most? And then when you look back through that journaling, you're probably going to reveal some patterns or emotions or needs that might not be so obvious in your day-to-day thinking. Experiment with different roles or styles. So try stepping into the different archetypes and seeing which feels like home and which feels awkward.
I like that. Feels like home.
Right?
That's comforting as fuck, you know?
Well, it does. Bratting to me is very authentic to who I am.
Yeah.
So service submission, not so much.
No. I mean, for me, it is literally just the one type of service.
Yeah.
Couldn't catch you. Honest to God, you could not pay me to dust or wipe or mop a floor. That's why we have the robot.
I will do it if I can't talk anybody else into doing it.
No.
Just because I want the clean house.
That's why we have a robot.
Yeah. Discuss your preferences and experiences with trusted kinksters or mentors or friends. Share your thoughts with people who might be able to offer insights or guidance back to you. Attend workshops or munches where you can observe and learn about different archetypes and meet a wide variety of people, right? Like you come to our littles munch, you're going to meet a lot of littles.
A lot.
You won't necessarily meet maybe a lot of service-oriented submissives.
I mean,
so,
again, you can be both, but really at this munch, we focus on the little part.
Right? So that doesn't mean you shouldn't go to the littles munch, because maybe as a service-oriented, you want to see what littles and see what that's like and feel if that feels natural to you or not. And of course, seek feedback from your partners about how things look from their side. Let's talk a little bit about archetypal fluidity. Embrace, I said that very carefully because that was hard. Embrace the possibility that you are more than one thing.
Yes!
You might primarily be a service-oriented submissive who occasionally enjoys bratting. You might be a little who occasionally enjoys being a pleasure sub. Allow yourself the freedom to be more than one thing and acknowledge that who you are today is not necessarily who you're going to be next week. Your preferences and desires are probably going to shift with life experiences. So, for example, you might have be a submissive started out as a brat, but as your dynamic has matured, as you've matured, maybe now you're becoming more of a service-oriented submissive. Or maybe you were somebody who was a service-oriented submission, but you're in a new dynamic with a new partner. And that particular partner is like me and is silly and playful. And that's bringing out your brat side that you didn't have with the last partner because it was obvious your last partner didn't like that.
Yeah.
Right? View this whole entire kink life, your submission, as the journey and not the destination. Once you've done all this and you figured out who you are, share your insight with your partners. Talk to your partner. I realize I'm happiest when I can help with practical tasks like organizing or preparing things for you. So I really think that I'm a service-oriented submissive. Because then now they're able to shape the rules and the tasks to appeal to the service-oriented side, right? So knowing this about myself helps me understand why I'm thriving in the structured environment. So I need a structured environment with clear expectations. Listen to your partner's needs and perspectives and ask them what they enjoy about their role and how it aligns with your archetype. So for example, do they find value in receiving acts of service? And what acts of service do they want to receive? Because if you're thinking, I'm going to cook and clean for you, and they're like, no, what I really need is somebody to do my laundry.
No.
Dara's not going to make them a good partner, but somebody else might.
Somebody else is going to be my partner for doing laundry.
Right. And be open to feedback about how that archetype is going to fit into the dynamic. So, right, I enjoy playful teasing as a brat sometimes. How does that work for them? Are there ways that we can incorporate the bratting so that both sides enjoy it? Develop rituals and protocols and scenes that reflect the preference. So for service submissive, maybe establish a daily routine where you create to-do lists for tasks that your dominant values. Maybe it's preparing your coffee or getting their lunch set up for the next day so they can just grab it and go. You're a brat. Maybe incorporate playful protocols like earning punishments through teasing or verbal sparring because that's what you like. If you're a little, make sure you're designating time for that little space so that it might be your dom reading a bedtime story to you and tucking you in with cuddles.
So for example, for me, it's immediately when I get home from work.
Yeah.
Like that first little bit when I get home from work, I faceplant into his belly. He literally meets me at the stairs and lifts up his shirt.
Right. So kind of going back to why I think it's so important to figure out your archetype and understand it is it's going to help you identify what truly fulfills you, which is going to lead to greater self-acceptance and empowerment. And this clarity helps reduce any self-doubt you might have about your submission. And it reinforces the idea that all forms of submission are valid and valuable. It's going to help you improve your understanding of your personal limits and boundaries because it's going to help clarify what feels comfortable and where your limits lie. So for example, right, a pleasure sub might recognize that while they enjoy intense sensory play, they really need a lot of aftercare to feel emotionally secure. And then this understanding allows you to advocate for your needs more effectively. It's going to strengthen the relationship because it helps foster open dialogue with your partner. It's going to help with mutual understanding, right? You're a brat. You communicate your playful nature to your dominant. It will help the two of you work together to establish boundaries that make your bratting fun, but not go past the point that your dominant is comfortable with. And it's going to enhance your dynamics because all of a sudden your expectations are going to be aligned. So for example, a little and a caregiver may align their dynamic by incorporating nurturing activities like the bedtime routines or the scheduled little time. Mm-hmm. And now they're both being fulfilled.
Makes sense.
Right? So what I really want you guys to take away from this is that, let's start with the big thing. Archetypes are not labels.
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
Archetypes are not stereotypes.
Second favorite part.
And archetypes are just like a starting point, an idea. You can be more than one type. You can be...
Wait. You can be more than one
archetype.
Archetype?
Yes. You can be more than one archetype. You can be one type of archetype one time and then switch. Like maybe one of the things that I notice about me, I tend to brat when I'm feeling vulnerable. It's a defense mechanism.
Oh, okay.
So maybe you recognize that. So you're naturally a service submissive who sometimes brats because you're feeling vulnerable. Or maybe, as in Dara's case, right? You little out when you're feeling vulnerable because you need to have that. Like Dara does, she will do it when she's little when she is feeling vulnerable because you need the break.
I need the mental break. I need the comfort.
Right?
Yeah.
So maybe you might identify as a pleasure submissive who occasionally littles out when you need that break, when you're feeling overwhelmed and you need to turn your brain off.
Yeah, and I'm also a brat, but I'm a brat when I'm little and I'm a brat when I'm not little. So I think that's just an identity for me. It's not necessarily a kink.
Yeah. For me, it's an identity.
Or is it bitch?
Is that rhetorical?
I don't. Yeah. I am pretty bitchy, though.
I'm just making sure. I'm laughing because somebody told me the other day they've never heard me be rude to somebody. And I'm like, if you only knew what was going on in my head. I'm glad that I'm hiding it well because my subtitles on my face don't.
You hide them.
I
don't.
Hide them. Because if you knew, because inside my head, I am the bitchiest of all bitches. I'm just better at hiding it, apparently.
Yeah, and she brings it out for only certain people.
Certain people get to see that side of me. Aren't you lucky?
Everybody's lucky because my face shows everything. So everybody knows how much of a bitch I am.
But yeah, so it's just, and there may be more archetypes that I haven't mentioned. And if you guys are aware of any, please send them my way. Do not send me rope bunny as an archetype because I don't disagree. I don't agree with it. Most rope bunnies I know aren't submissive.
They just like the rope.
They're just like rope. The same
You're
way,
a rope bunny.
So the same way most riggers I know don't identify as dominance. If you ask them what their role is, they'll say rigger. They don't say dominant.
Yeah. And
Right?
it's interesting. We did that, right? We did that whole discussion.
I'm sure it's come up before. Certain things come up on a regular basis because
Yeah.
I'm always angry about. I'm like the Hulk.
You are
Oh
the
my
Hulk.
God, I am the Hulk. I'm always angry about them. I just don't always turn pink.
That's my secret,
That's it.
Dara. I'm always angry.
Oh my God, but that's
Rara,
it.
She-Hulk.
I am She-Hulk, but I'm pink, not green.
Oh my God. Well, now that needs to be a graphic. Your face, but pink, and say She-Hulk. Pink She-Hulk. That's my secret. I'm always angry. And then have a little soapbox on the side. Should that be a new sticker?
Gonna have to figure out how to make that. My secret.
Use the
Actually, what I
Bitmoji.
really need to do is one that says, my secret, I'm always sadistic.
But that doesn't work with the I'm always angry She-Hulk thing.
No, but this could be a t-shirt.
I'm always a brat.
This could be a t-shirt. My secret, I'm always a brat, or
I'm always
a sad-
bratting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is, as I said, this is my first foray into this new version. We'll do another episode on submissive. Oh my God.
That was different.
I'm tired. Another episode on dominant archetypes.
Okay. Yeah.
And guess what? There's a lot more of those.
Cool. That actually makes sense, though. All right, She-Hulk.
Hulk smash. Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a minute of our fun and educational content. New episodes drop every Friday.
If you love what we do and want to help us keep creating, support us on Patreon at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast. You can also support our affiliates to benefit small businesses and us at the same time.
No extra cash? No problem. You can still help by spreading the word about your favorite kinky podcast. Share us with your friends, and don't forget to rate and review us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. Those 5-star reviews mean the world to us. And those 5-star reviews go a long way in boosting our podcasts through the algorithm and reaching more listeners.
Sign up for our Pink Kink Institute classes. Shop at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique. Stay connected with us on social media. You'll find all the links on our link tree posted in the show notes.
Your support means the world to us. So until next time, stay pink
And level up your kink knowledge.